It was a Tuesday. Just a normal, unremarkable Tuesday night. I was taking my kids to gymnastics, a drive I've made 100 times. It's 6 minutes from my driveway to the gym. 6 minutes through the quiet, tree lined streets of Apex, North Carolina, the kind of town people move to for a sense of safety. What I didn't know was that on that short drive, my car with my family inside was photographed 50 times. Not once, not twice, 50 times. Digital ghosts of my minivan captured and stored by a network of cameras I never even knew were there. That one drive changed everything for me. So grab a cup of water and let me tell you how I stumbled into a fight for my town's privacy and maybe yours too. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. 50 photos? In 6 minutes? It sounds impossible. It sounds like something from a dystopian movie, not a quiet suburb, but it was real. I stood before my town council and said those words out loud, and I could see the disbelief on some of their faces. This is how it started for me. Not with a protest or a political cause, but with a cold, unsettling feeling in my gut. The feeling of being watched, constantly, and without my consent. I started digging. The cameras, I learned, belong to a company called Flock Safety. They aren't just traffic cameras. They're far more powerful. Flock's system captures between 6 and 12 images of every single car that passes. It records your license plate, sure, but it also notes the make, model, and color of your vehicle. It even documents what it calls unique features. Things like a roof rack, a dent in the fender, or even the bumper stickers you have on your car. Think about that for a second. A private company is building a database of your car's unique fingerprint. Every trip to the grocery store, every school drop off, every visit to a friend's house, it all gets logged. And where does this data go? It's uploaded to a massive, searchable national database. The police in my town of Apex can see it. But so can law enforcement agencies all across the country that also subscribe to Flock. A 6 minute drive in North Carolina could, in theory, be reviewed by an officer in California or Texas. A company I'd never heard of was building a permanent record of my family's life, one trip at a time, and my town was paying them to do it. My first real step was to find out why. I started going to town council meetings, using the 3 minutes of public comment time to ask simple questions. Why do we need this? How much does it cost? Who approved it? The answers were slow to come, but eventually I filed public records requests and got the contracts. The town of Apex had approved a 2-year contract with Flock Safety for 10 cameras, costing taxpayers around $72,000. Some documents showed one agreement at over $36,000 for the first year and $35,000 for the second. The town's police chief, Ryan Johansson, defended the system. He argued that the cameras were a vital tool to track stolen cars, which he claimed were connected to the vast majority of crimes in Apex. And I understand that. Nobody wants crime in their neighborhood. But my question wasn't just about the technology, it was about the scale of it. As I told the council, the standard for Apex cannot be, is this technically legal? The standard has to be, is this wise? Is this necessary? Is this who we are? We live in a town with a relatively low crime rate. Do we really need a surveillance system that watches everyone, all the time, just on the off chance it might catch a stolen car? The data is kept for 30 days, but the police chief mentioned he'd prefer to extend that to 90 days for investigative value. A 3-month rolling database of every car's movement in town. It felt like a massive overreach. It's a solution in search of a problem, and the price is everyone's daily privacy. Getting straight answers felt like pulling teeth. Information trickled out. I'd post my findings on Reddit, sharing the documents I'd received, and a community of concerned residents started to grow. It turns out, most people had no idea this was happening. The initial contract was approved quietly back in 2023. The lack of transparency was almost as concerning as the technology itself. This wasn't just about cameras. It was about how these decisions were being made for us, not with us. If you believe that our communities deserve transparency and a real debate about tools like this, a quick subscribe helps me keep telling these stories. It lets people know they aren't alone in asking these hard questions. And the next part of this story is why those questions are so critically important. Because here's where it gets much bigger than just my town. I started to realize that the 10 cameras in Apex weren't just 10 cameras. They were nodes in a nationwide network. Flock now has tens of thousands of cameras across America, in suburbs, cities, and even private gated communities. All of that data, from every camera in every state, is pooled together. This isn't just a tool for finding a stolen car in Apex. It's a tool for tracking movement across the entire country. Jay Stanley, a senior policy analyst at the ACLU's Speech, Privacy, and Technology Project, put it bluntly. We worry that, essentially, it is mass surveillance. He's right. The technology collects data on every single passing car, without individualized suspicion of wrongdoing. You don't have to be a suspect to be tracked. You just have to drive to work. And then I learned about the potential for misuse. This isn't a theoretical fear. It's already happened. In Texas, a police officer was caught using a similar license plate reader network to search for a woman who had recently had an abortion, a procedure that is now a crime in that state. Think about the implications of that. A tool bought for public safety becomes a tool for political or ideological enforcement. It was also revealed that ICE, the federal immigration agency, had access to a massive database of license plate reader information, using it for immigration enforcement. A person driving to their job could unwittingly be providing data that leads to their neighbor's deportation. These aren't edge cases. They are the inevitable consequence of building a powerful nationwide surveillance machine. Once the infrastructure is in place, it can be used for purposes far beyond what was originally promised. A system sold to us as a way to stop carjackers becomes a system that can track people seeking healthcare or families trying to stay together. The promise of security is seductive, but the cost is a world where every movement leaves a digital trail, a trail that can be misinterpreted, misused, or sold to the highest bidder. Once you see the full picture, you can't unsee it. That simple 6-minute drive to gymnastics practice suddenly felt incredibly heavy. It wasn't just my family's data being collected. It was a tiny contribution to a system with the power to unravel lives. My goal is simple now. As I told the council, the ultimate outcome here is that they need to be removed. This isn't about being anti-police. It's about being pro-privacy. It's about being pro-community. It's about deciding together what kind of town we want to live in. Do we want to live in a place where we trust each other, or a place where a private company and the government track our every move just in case? So there it is. From a 6-minute drive to a nationwide surveillance network. It started with a number, 50 photos, and ended with a question that we all have to answer now. How much of our freedom are we willing to trade away for the promise of security? And who gets to make that trade for us? My fight in Apex is still going on. It's become a microcosm of a debate happening all over the country, in towns just like yours. If this story made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Because these conversations are happening now, and your voice matters more than you know.